Look at that title card. Ooh.
Alright, Renaissance, meaning European cultural movement, the art of literature and architecture it inspired. The movement of the Renaissance began in Florence, Italy, but later spread throughout Europe. The movement started around 1350 and ended around 1600. The word Renaissance means rebirth. There are many reasons to why the Renaissance began. The first being the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death. Another cause of the Renaissance was the new idea that social class didn't have to dictate your wealth. Just as the Romans were often known as Greek imitators, the artists of the Renaissance took a big interest in ancient Greek and Roman art. Overall, the Renaissance came to be known as an era of revival, one in which the influence of Greek and Roman art was seen in both art and architecture.
Inventions. Oh, those are so cool.
Many inventions were created during the Renaissance. Here are a couple that stand out. First, we have the microscope, which was invented in 1590 by Hans and Zacharias Janssen. This invention's idea was derived from lenses. They basically wanted to make lenses that could magnify images much more than the generic lenses. They used it to look at small objects or insects that they could hardly see, so they could find out what they really look like up close. As this invention was improved upon, many things too small to see by the human eye were discovered. Another fascinating invention was labeled a robotic knight, which was made by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo had many ideas which used pulleys and gears. The robotic knight was one of them. His design looked like a knight suit, and inside of it contained gears and wheels, which were connected to a complicated pulley system. His design was actually capable of independent motion due to a variety of materials. This design was vastly expanded upon in the upcoming years, crafting robots which can do a variety of things.
Wow, look at those cringy effects.
1421, 1497. Benzo Gonzalez was an Italian painter who painted in a very Gothic manner and used fresco as his most famous form of painting. His art was amazingly detailed and showed enhanced visuals of nature and being almost close to realistic. With a realistic description of landscape, Benzo Gonzalez art was state-of-the-art and one of a kind. The only place of art in the Renaissance era was found in Tuscany, Umbria, and Rome. 1380 to 1390. Jan van Eyck, most likely in Massachit in 1422, was employed by WHACKY and was paid by Philip. He made lots of money and was able to paint whatever he wanted to. He was financially stable and painted mostly naturalism and realism and Gothic styles, but went to the past three other styles that were mentioned before.
Oh wow, so many cool transitions.
The Medici family ruled the city of Florence throughout the Renaissance. They had a major influence on the growth of the Italian Renaissance through their patronage of the arts and humanism, sometimes even being called the godfathers of the Renaissance. The family owned very successful wool and banking businesses, acquiring them lots of wealth. The Medici's bank was started by Giovanni de' Medici, and was what brought such prominence to the Medicis in Florence. Giovanni was also the leader of the Florence merchants. In 1434, Giovanni's son, Cosimo de' Medici, became the Grand Maestro, or leader, of the city-state of Florence, leading the Medici family to rule Florence until 1737, another 200 years. The Medici family are probably most famous for their patronage or sponsorship of the arts. The family would pay commissions to artists for major works of art. This patronage had a huge impact on the Renaissance, allowing artists to focus on their work without financial worry. In fact, an extremely significant amount of the art and architecture that was produced in Florence at the Renaissance start was due to the Medici family. Early on, they helped support the painter Masaccio, and helped to pay the architect Brunelleschi to rebuild the Basilica of San Lorenzo. They also helped support such famous artists as Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, and Donatello. In fact, one of the Medici, Ferdinando de' Medici, was a patron of music, helping to fund the invention of the piano. The Medici didn't support only the arts and architecture, though, as they also supported science. The famous scientist Galileo Galilei was even supported by the Medici in his scientific efforts. Galileo even worked as a tutor for the children of the Medici, and initially named 4 of Jupiter's moons he discovered after children of the family, though they were later changed. The aforementioned Medici Bank was what the Medici owed much of their wealth and power to, as it made them one of the richest families throughout Europe. It was the largest bank in Europe at its peak, and was very well respected. The bank made notable improvements in accounting procedures, including the development of the double-entry bookkeeping system, a system banks still use today. Several of the Medici family went on to be in extremely high positions of power, such as Pope Leo X, who obviously was the first of 4 Medici to become pope. The other 3 being Pope Clement VII, Pope Pius IV, and Pope Leo XI. Catherine de' Medici married King Henry II of France, becoming Queen of France in 1547, and later served as regent to her son, King Charles IX, playing a major role in the reign of her 3rd son, Henry III. Mary de' Medici also became Queen of France when she married King Henry IV of France, later acting as regent for her son, Louis XIII, before he became king.
Oh, geez, golly, look at that. Man, are these ever gonna stop?
One thing from the Renaissance that has affected my life is humanism. It basically is like where people have rights and you can think and do what you want. And in my life, that is a big thing because we're in America and we have freedom, you know? So freedom allows me to do stuff like go and ride my bike out in the rain, or like go to church if I want to, or watch Shrek alone at my house. Stuff like that. It's Renaissance. They did that. Also, William Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. I gotta read that. That's in my English class. I gotta read that. It has affected me personally and mentally in the future, but I guess I get to read that, so yeah, thanks Renaissance.
Was the first of 4 Medici. Okay, that's Mr. Rico.
You recording that?
No, I thought you were gonna go out there, so I followed.
I'm not surprised anymore.
Alyssa, shut up. I'm filming.
What are you filming?
History project. Go away.
Me.
I'm not being mean, you're being loud. Now go away.
80 to 13.
I did not start the recording yet. 3, 2.
1380 to 13.
It's been 4 seconds. The other 3 being Pope Clement. Okay, maybe we should probably say that again.